Okay. Can you see my slides? Yes? No? Hold on. Hold on. I need to move some things. Hold on. How do I do this? No. Hold on. This? Oh my God. If you've ever been on Zoom, you might have experienced this, that the presenter just doesn't know how to share their slides, and what sounds like something so simple can get actually really complicated. So in this video I want to share with you 7 different ways how you can share your slides on Zoom, and we're going to talk about the benefits and the challenges which each one of those versions, and I'll share also my personal evolution of what I did in the beginning, what I did a year ago when we first started going online during the pandemic and I first started running workshops. I'll take you through the different iterations, different tech tools I acquired, like this awesome little tool right here that is a $10 device that actually is really useful. I'll share kind of how I upgraded from just using a MacBook Pro to getting an external screen, to using an iPad, to getting a Mac Mini. So depending on what setup you have, I will share with you what's the best way to present on Zoom. If you are watching this live, let me know in the comments that you are here. And if you enjoy this content, of course, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. This is actually one little outtake, or not an outtake, a live recording of a lesson or a couple of lessons that I'm adding to my Zoom Keepers online course, which is a course where I'm teaching you all kinds of tech around how to be a better facilitator, a better presenter, a better host on Zoom, as we are in right now. So what do we need to get started? Well, we're going to start with, like I said, talking about the best way to share your presentation slides in Zoom. And the first one we're going to talk about is sharing your whole desktop. And I think this is the one that most presenters use, and I think it's actually maybe the worst. And I'll show you why. Let me actually jump into this view here. Hold on, I need to close a little window that shouldn't pop up. There we go. Now you can see that, actually, is this the right view? Yes, you can see a different view of me on the other side because I'm sharing my laptop screen. So the easiest way to share your slides on Zoom is simply clicking down here, share screen, and then select the whole desktop. And what happens is this: you get this green bar around, and I'll actually show you what it looks like from the participant's perspective as I'm doing this. So let me switch over to this camera. So this is what the participants see. So when you click share your whole desktop, the first thing you're already noticing, well, they see all of those icons on my desktop. They see all of my presentation notes in the bottom. They see all the slides that are coming up. And then by the time I hit play, this is when they finally see what they're supposed to be seeing. But the problem for the presenter is now, well, I can't, actually this is not even what you should be seeing, because I have the screens switched. So this is what you should be seeing, right? So if you're having external screens, this can even be super confusing. But for me as the presenter right now, I can't see my presenter notes anymore if I'm only having one screen. I can't really see people's faces anymore because it took over the gallery view. I have to open up chat, and now my mouse even disappeared, and I'm like trying to figure out, okay, where did my mouse go? Okay, here's the chat. It moved over here. Let me open up the participants window as well in case somebody comes in late. So let me show you what that actually looks like again on my end. So if I'm presenting, like I have this chat window, which now my mouse is like completely disappeared too. So like I need to move this around, making sure that that doesn't cover anything. and the menu is covering things, and I have the gallery view. So all in all, this is not the best solution to sharing your screen. So let's go back to this for a second, just so we can kind of take a deep breath and like, wow, that was a little bit stressful. Even for me, as I'm demonstrating this, like I'm getting antsy because I'm showing you all kinds of things that you shouldn't be seeing in this live stream, when I'm presenting on Zoom. If you want to come across as a professional speaker, presenter, facilitator, you don't want to be showing all the things before you hit slideshow. And I've heard horror stories from participants that a presenter was messaging in the Zoom chat one-on-one with one of their co-hosts, basically saying not so nice things about some of the participants. And when that presenter was sharing their screen, that chat message popped up for all the participants to see. Awkward, yes, for sure. So there's one tip that I can give that at least slightly helps make this better. So for this, I'm going to jump back in here, and we're going to click share screen, and instead of using desktop up here, we're just going to look through all the different windows and trying to find my keynote presentation, which actually I think is still running right now. So this is the other challenge. Sometimes this just disappears or it's hard to find. So I need to go back and just open up my keynote again and exit that. Oh, now even my keynote doesn't want to exit. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, exited the keynote. Let's go back to Zoom. Where did the Zoom window go? So all these challenges you might be familiar with. And I'm telling you, like, this is not how I would share the screen, but this is how most people do it. All right, now I can find it. Here's my keynote presentation. This is just selecting one application to share. So instead of sharing the whole desktop, I'm just sharing this. And again, I'm going to switch over to the laptop, to the participants view, so you can actually see what it looks like from their end. So this is me. Now I'm sharing just the keynote, and as you can see, we're not seeing the desktop behind with all of the icons. We just see the app, but you still see for one moment my presenter notes down here and like different thumbnails until I hit play and we go full screen. And now we're good, at least for the participants. As the presenter, I still have the same challenge of when I open chat, when I open the participants panel, gallery view, all of that will be floating on top of my presentation and basically covering maybe some important information that I want to see or I need to see. So let's stop this share and jump back in, and I forgot to show you the title. This was share the application window, and for the application window you can actually choose anything that you have open. So you could also share your browser. So one example like this would be sharing it like this. Again, this is what participants see, so you're not confused. So you just see the browser. This is actually something that I will talk about in a little bit. So let's head back to this, and let's make that browser disappear. All right, so the problem is, again, when you're using only one screen on when you're presenting and you share your application window, the transition is not as smooth because people still see your presenter notes. The other thing is that PowerPoint or Keynote often still takes over your whole screen, meaning that you can't have your notes next to your slides. It's an either or. So there is a kind of workaround to make this work a little bit better. And this is something that I've done a lot when I first started presenting on Zoom, when I only had one screen. I was only using my MacBook Pro, and this is how I did it. So for this, we are going to go to share screen again, and on the top we're going to move to advanced. And there's one option that says portion of screen. And what that does is basically, I'll actually click it so you see it. It creates this green box that I can move around, and whatever that box sees is shown to my participants. So I can control a little bit more of what they see and what they don't. Currently, this is just on a blank desktop. So if I go to the participants view and move that around, you can see like I'm just showing different parts of my desktop right now. But what I actually want to do is find my keynote presentation that of course disappeared again because it is full screen. And what I want to do is, let me close it and I'll show you how it works if we only had one screen. You could do either that you just select the box around your slides. So this way I can still see my notes down here, I can see kind of upcoming slides, and participants, all they see is what I selected in the green box. But right now you still see like the two yellow lines, right? So I would have to change that on my end and just make sure that we, no, actually it was not the hide the rulers, it was the guys hide guides. Okay, make sure that this is set. There we go. So now I could go through this and just click through my slides. The one issue is if you're doing it this way and you have any animations, like when things are moving in, text is moving out, anything fancy doesn't really translate because you're not in presenting mode. In your keynote presentation, same thing in PowerPoint, you're just clicking from one slide to the next. So to do that, we can go and click play and go to rehearse slideshow. Actually, let me stop sharing this for a second so we can see this a little bit better. Let's go to the keynote and you just want to go play rehearse slideshow. And what this does is it turns on presenter mode. Hold on, but it now is happening on the wrong screen. So play rehearse. Actually, we will go to play and customize presenter display first. And let's see if we can move this around. Actually, we will do it this way. Because I have two screens, I'm pretending to have one. This is what you would see, right? So, and here, when you customize the presenter display, you can actually put where you want your slide, where you want your upcoming slide. You can put how large you want things to be. So you can move those things around and adjust it the way you like it. And then, let's click OK, hold on, and rehearse again. Now I need to open up Zoom and just share that current slide. And to do this, because Keynote is taking over my whole screen, I need to exit this first. And again, this is not as smooth a transition. Let me actually jump to this view for a second as I'm finding this. Let's go here. Hold on, we're going to go here. Okay, so we'll click share screen, portion of screen, and now we need to go back to rehearse. And then we need to move that green box over where we have our slide. So now I need to just adjust this to fit over here. And now when I advance my slides, it actually shows all of the animations. And again, the participants view is this. They just see, oh, hold on, covering something. They just see things that are coming up. The one issue with sharing the portion of the screen, you actually see it on this screen right now, is that the text, anything that is small text, is not as clear. So when you're sharing a portion of the screen, the resolution of the video of your presentation that you're sharing is actually much, much smaller. So again, I don't always recommend it, but it's a good backup solution. Or the other thing I could do is in this presenter view, I could make sure that that slide is really nice and big, so the resolution gets a lot better. But again, we are going to close this. The transition is not as great going from one thing to the next. So again, not the ideal way, although I made that work for a lot of months. Anyway, I am curious if anybody is watching this, what is the way that you are sharing your slides right now? I'm really curious, like what's the way that you have been using until now? All right, now this is maybe the absolute best way to share your screen if you only have one display, and here's how you do it. So let me jump back into this view, and before we go click share screen, we need to do something in our Keynote. So let me pull up the Keynote presentation again, and this is a feature that that works with any newer Keynote presentation, any newer PowerPoint. It won't work if you have an old version of this app, because this is something that they've only introduced, I would probably say, in the last year or two. And what it is, if you click on play on the top here, there is an option that says play slideshow in window. So we are actually going to talk about number 4, play slideshow in external window, because what this does is this. And actually I need to change some settings so you can see everything that I am seeing here, because it actually hides certain things. So this is everything that I'm seeing. I have one window. Oh, hold on. This is my Zoom window in the back. I have one window that shows my slides, and I can advance through those here by either clicking or using the number pad. And then I have this other window over here that has my presenter notes, has the upcoming slide. I can actually connect this as customize this as well. And as you can see, my mouse just disappeared. There we go, it's back. I can show all of the upcoming slides. So if I want to like skip something without people noticing, I'll just click here to the next slide. You can kind of customize what you want to see. And this window is not visible to my participants, because what we want to do in Zoom is share your screen, select basic, and then just choose the keynote that just shows the slide. So once I select this, we can see from the green bar around it, this is all that is being shared. So let's jump into the participants view. This is what people see. And I can go through my slides and it still animates. There we go. So I can go through this very easily. I can arrange all of the things on my main screen. So I can move this, let's say, to the top corner. I can have my presenter view. Maybe I want this to be down here. It actually doesn't even matter if it's covering everything, because we're just sharing the window so nobody sees. And then here's the other trick. I'm actually going to hide my video for a second so there's more space and you can see what I'm doing. Where are we? Hold on. Okay, because this little window is also something that I did not know about in the beginning. There's a few different bars on the top. Actually, I would love to zoom in on that a little bit. Let's see if we can do this. And I'll just put this window up here for a second. So there's a few different options. This just shows the active speaker window, which would be myself. This next one is showing thumbnail videos. So you just see everyone in a small grid. and if you click this, show grid window, you can actually expand this as large as you want. So now, if you have, let's say 20, 40, 50 people on Zoom, you just make this as big as you want, and it will just fill up that whole space with everybody's videos. So then I might move this bar over here. Maybe we'll make this a bit smaller, make this a bit smaller, because I would love to also see my chat. So maybe we'll put people in the middle, and we'll move the chat window, make it really narrow and long over here. Kind of something like this. So now this is the presenter view, what I'm seeing as the host. And for the participants, they just see my slides. So I can connect with my audience, I can connect with my participants by making eye contact with the camera. I can look at their faces in gallery view. I can see the chat. I can see my notes, and I can see what slide I am on right now. So usually when I want to connect with my participants, I would switch between looking at the camera, looking at gallery view, looking at my notes, looking at the presentation, looking at the chat, so I can make sure that I'm connecting with people when I'm making eye contact, and also being aware of everything else that is happening over here. All right, that was a little bit of a handful. So let me jump back here, clean up my desktop a little bit, so we can move on to the next way to share your slides. But maybe this is already the one that you will be using. So let me know again in the comments if you're watching this. How are you sharing your slides right now? What have you found works best for yourself? Okay, we will jump back in here. Oh, something happened, right. I need to make sure that I am hiding all of the things behind me again. There we go. Much better. All right, so this was number 4. So we talked about sharing your whole desktop, sharing the application window. We talked about sharing portion of the screen. This was sharing your presentation in an external window. If your app, your PowerPoint, your keynotes all do this. If you use Canva, if you use Google Slides, all of those are able to share the presentation in an external window. And this is probably one of the best ways to do it, especially if you only have one screen. All right, now let's talk about what if you have 2 screens and you want to do presenter mode. And this is actually the one that I'm still using right now. I'm switching between that and version 4 and some of the ones that I will talk about later. This is really useful if you have an external screen, like, and this is how I usually set it up. So what do we do first? First, we choose when we click share screen. Let's do that for a second and make sure that you can see me again. You want to choose your second desktop, which right now you're actually seeing a program called Ecamm that I'm running to do this live stream, but that will disappear in a second. I'll show you why. So you want to choose that in Zoom, and in your keynote, let me open that up again. We are going to close this, so we go back to our regular view. Let me just move that back here. So here we are just going to click play, and if you have 2 screens, and this is the challenge that I ran into earlier, when you click play, it automatically does something. One screen will be filled with all of the presentation, which is the one that you're seeing right now, and the other screen, which I can't show you right now because I need to exit again. Hold on. The other screen shows your presenter view, and if you have this external screen, you just want to share that in Zoom, And then again, on this screen, we can arrange things from the Zoom app. So I'll actually show you how I have this set up. So for this, I need to exit this one more time, because we first need to go to the Zoom app, click share screen, and this is the part where it gets a bit tricky, because you basically showing your desktop for a moment as a transition over to the presentation. So what I did is I just, on the Mac, you can, actually let me see if you can see this. You can create new desktops, as you can see on the top. So I created a new blank one. So when I share this, participants will just see this. Oh, not this. They will just see a blank desktop. And then I will jump back to my keynote. When I click play here, and let me make this again smaller, as it normally would show up in the corner here. When I click play here, I will see my presenter view, and participants will see just the slides because they're happening on my external screen. So on my first screen, I can now arrange things the way I want. And for this, there's this button up here in Keynote. And I love this in Keynote where I can move things around, like this Zoom menu bar. I usually move over here. And now I can move everything. I can move the time. I can change the size of the slides. So let's make this like this, so it's actually taking the full thing. We'll move this over a bit here, like this. And now I will go up to my Zoom chat. We will plug the Zoom chat in here, so I can see a lot of that. I will go to this window, show the grid window, and make that as big as possible. So that allows me to see, depending on the size of your screen, maybe 12, maybe up to 20 people. I could move things around a little bit more. Another thing I want to show is the navigator, so I can see all the things that are coming up. But you can see there's a bit more room for things. So let's move this over a bit more, move this over a bit. This is okay if it's the same size as this. The next slide I probably don't need to see as big, just need to know what's coming up. So that way I can have the chat over here. Sometimes I'll have the participants window open, but I only need that at the beginning of a workshop to admit people, maybe to rename them. So I don't really mind if that is covering something for a little bit. So maybe we'll even do the chat down here, like this. And that way, now I can make this gallery view window a lot bigger and see a lot more people. Okay. Save this, show navigator, and this is basically the view that I would look at when I'm presenting. Again, the participants, they just see my slides, so if I start clicking through this, they just see things that are coming together, and I can just jump by clicking through here and going to the next slide. I can see my notes, I can respond in chat, and I can see gallery view. So this has been what I've been using for the longest time. And you might be saying right now, well, I don't have a second screen, so what do I do? Well, there's two really, really useful tricks. One is free, actually not free. If you have an old iPad lying around, it's free. The other one is $10. So let me stop sharing this. We'll come back over here. There's two ways you can use this exact method if you don't have a second screen, if you don't have a second monitor. And option one is you have a old iPad lying around. I had one, like it was a second generation iPad, so not the newest version. But what I did is I downloaded the software that I showed you earlier. Hold on, I need to grab my browser so I can show you. Here we go. So I downloaded this app. It's called Splashtop Wired X Display. And it can turn your iPad, Android tablet, Kindle, or smartphone into a high-performance extra monitor for your computer. So the cool thing is this works for Apple, for Mac computers. It works for Android, for iOS devices, for Windows computers. And you just download the app on your Mac or PC, and then you also download the app on your mobile device. And that way you just connect it with a USB cable, and automatically it will become an external monitor. And I've actually used my iPad for an external monitor just so I can, when Keynote takes over my screen, because I didn't have the newest version of Keynote, I just needed the presentation to show up on my iPad and then just share my iPad as the screen to Zoom, the same way I just did in the last point when I showed you. So that was really, really cool. And then I thought, well, what if you don't have an iPad? Well, the cool thing is you could simply get yourself one of these. It is a little dummy HDMI plug. The one that I have is actually called, come on, camera, focus on this. Hello. There we go. 4K display emulator. And this is kind of what it looks like, and I will drop a link to the Amazon page below. So it's just this little plug that goes into your HDMI port in your computer, and what it does, it will create a virtual second monitor. So I can't show you exactly how it works, but the thing that happens in Zoom. Oh, hold on. Let's hop back into this view. In Zoom, once you have plugged this into your computer, you just go again to share screen, and there will be a second desktop available for you to choose. Even if you don't see it, it is there. And if you're running Keynote, it will automatically put your presentation on that screen. And there's one thing to keep in mind, which is sometimes your Keynote or PowerPoint will not recognize which screen should have the presenter notes and which screen should show the presentation. So you need to make sure that you're sharing the right one. Or let me jump back into this. You see that button up here? When I click this kind of switch displays button, it will switch between what now is showing the presentation on my main screen and the presenter view on my second screen to presenter view on my main screen and presentation on the second screen. So that's how you can easily switch back and forth. So that is a cool way how you can simply switch up the way you present, and all you need to carry, especially when you're traveling, like I'm thinking when I'm traveling, and I'm just having my laptop, I'm not going to carry a second screen, just going to bring this little device, and it's basically a second monitor that fits into the smallest little breast pocket. So you can use all of that to run your presentation. So this was number 5. We just talked about presenter mode with 2 screens. Now there's 2 more ways that I want to share with you. And those are a little bit more advanced, but depending on your setup and depending on the way you like to present, this might be the ways that could be really useful for you. So the first one is using your iPad to share your slides. And this is actually the way I've been using a lot recently. And the way it works is, let's jump into Zoom over here. Actually, before I do that, I do have my iPad right here, and I'm running the Keynote app on my iPad, or you could also run the PowerPoint app, doesn't matter. And I have it plugged in to my computer. I don't know if you can, the cable's not long enough. I have it plugged in just with a USB cable that comes with the iPad, the same one to charge. And now in Zoom, I'm simply going to go to share screen, And then you can see there's iPhone, iPad via AirPlay. I could use that and connect it wirelessly, or I could choose the one via cable. So because I have it plugged in right now, I'm just going to choose the one through the cable, click share, and suddenly I'm going back to this view. This keynote is not open, so I can kind of move my gallery view around and now use the full screen that I have available, the full space. I can make this really big. I can have the chat open. I can have the participants window open. I could have my presenter notes on that empty space over here. And what participants are seeing is actually not working right now, which is fun. Those are some of the issues when you connect and disconnect different devices. Well, let me quickly see if my iPad's still connected. All right, well, you're already seeing with this method, you sometimes run into some trouble. So I need to unplug my iPad and we'll plug it back in. Really great reminder, whenever you present, make sure that all your tech is working before you go live. I wasn't able to test all of the things for this video because we've been doing so many things. And I can see that my iPad is having trouble to connect. So we are going to do the old, have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again? And that 95% of the time will fix it. So just turning my iPad back on. And as this is ramping up, I see there's one person who's watching live. At least if you're watching this in the replay, let me know in the comments that you are here. I would love to know where you are watching from and how you're sharing your slides right now. Like, which method are you using and are you happy with it? Is it working for you? Okay, so let's do this again. Plugging it back in. Let's hope that this is working this time. If not, you might already know why I don't necessarily recommend this method, although it's been working well for me. There are some times where I'm struggling for like 20 minutes, turning it off, turning it back on, starting my computer again until I finally get it to work. So let's see. Yeah, looks like I will have to restart one more time. So in that case, we are going to improvise, and I'm going to share another version. We'll come back to version option 6, and we'll talk about number 7, which I'm not going to show you because it involves plugging a bunch of things in different ports. But what it basically is using something like this. Let's see if this focuses. Of course, it's upside down. This is an HDMI video capture card. Again, I'm going to put a link for Amazon in the description. This was maybe 40 bucks. And what it is, it uses your HDMI cable. It'll plug in there, turning that into USB, so now you can plug in that into your computer. On the other end, because I want to, let's say, use my iPad as a webcam, or even your phone, I have this other adapter that is HDMI on one end and USB-C on the other end. So I can use this to plug into my iPad and connect it via HDMI, which will then turn it into a webcam that I can share my slides through. And what it basically would look like is in Zoom. Let me jump over in Zoom. Over here. In Zoom, it would show my slides in this window, for example. So I would not be able to show my own camera. I could only show my slides. But the cool thing is that on my iPad, it will see my presenter notes, and on the screen for my participants, it will show just the slides. which is kind of the same thing as plugging it in through the USB connection, which I am still setting up and still trying to fix right now. So let's see if this is happening. So today it's giving me a lot of trouble. So I'm just not even going to recommend that you use this method because it's a little bit wonky. So let me go to number, we talked about number 7. I in the beginning said there's going to be 7 ways. Actually, I was lying. There is a number 8, which is using Ecamm Live and a Stream Deck. And this is what I'm using right now to stream to YouTube. But also I can do a lot of really fun things with it. I'm actually going to share with you a little bit of behind the scenes. So this is what I'm seeing when I am live streaming right now on one of my screens. So this is a software called Ecamm Live, which is a live streaming software, and I can basically run all my slides, my presentations through this and add some fun additional things. So one of the things I have set up here is, for example, when I'm doing instructions on how to use Zoom, and I'm going to, let's say, want to explain to people how do you find the reactions button, and I will just pop up this slide that I created here in Ecamm. I'm going to go back to the live mode so you can see this really nice and big. So this is what I would do if I want to tell people how to rename yourself. It's like this. If I want to tell them how breakout rooms work, I would have a couple of slides that I have set up here in Ecamm, and I kind of go through them by clicking either a button on the mouse, or I'm using this super fancy little device. Actually, let's jump over here, called a Stream Deck, and I have all of these buttons. Can cable a little bit short? Can I have a little bit more? There we go. All of these buttons I can program, so you can see that depending on what I press here, I can go back to the title of the video. There we go. Go back to our main view. I can tell you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So I have all of these things set up in Ecamm and then launching them in my Stream Deck. So often when I'm presenting, I'm using a mix of my PowerPoint slides and a few things that I use often that I've set up in Ecamm. And this is one really cool app that I've actually talked about a lot on my channel already. So if you are interested, I'm putting together a little workshop at the end of July. And if you're watching this after July, you're definitely welcome to check out the replay. I'll put that for sale on my website afterwards. And here's the things that we're actually going to talk through using Ecamm. Because there's one thing, doesn't matter how you're sharing your slides with all those 7 methods that I described earlier, you're still going to be doing something like this. Oh, and of course, because my iPad's not working, you can't see anything. But just imagine that down here are your slides, and you're still stuck in this tiny little window up here. And that's not the best experience for the audience, because you want to connect with them. You want to be visible. They want to see your facial reactions. They want to see your gestures, not just seeing the text on the screen. So this is additionally frustrating that my iPad doesn't want to connect right now, because that's the way I would show you where I have all of these fun things set up. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to improvise. I will recreate those things on the fly. So what we will do is, I'm actually going to share my, hold on, I'm going to take you behind the scenes, because that will be a great learning opportunity. I'm going to take you behind the scenes and I will show you how. Okay, hold on. I'm going to take you behind the scenes because we're going to play this in a window. There we go. Now we have the window here. I don't really need the notes right now. In the Zoom meeting, we're going to click share the screen and share this. Actually, no. What are we doing? In Ecamm, we're going to share this. So let me create a new scene. We're going to screen share. Keynote. There we go. Actually, no, this is not what I'm hoping to do. Here we go. So now in Ecamm, I can actually move myself around. I can have this little floating window, and I can change this into what I usually like, a little circle, make this a little bit bigger, can move myself to the bottom corner. So now I'm not taking up too much space. Another view that I have that I use often, and I need to recreate that in a moment, is a view like this, where I'm on the side and then I would show my presentation on the corner. So I would have to put okay, hold on. We need to do something extra. This is the fun of doing a live stream. Again, if you are watching this, let me know what you're taking away so far. What's the way you're sharing your slides? But I love sharing my slides this way, where I'm nice and big right over here, and I can have my slides just over in the middle, and it would just take over part of the presentation. So let me create a new one. We will actually choose this, and now I can have my slides over here, right? So that way I'm still visible, nice and big. This is like that. What I actually prefer to do is make this a square and crop out the corners so I can see this even bigger, like that. So that way, again, I am here on the side. You can still see my slides. I can just flip through them easily. And the one thing I need to keep in mind is that all the slides need to be designed in a way that it only shows the middle. So whenever there's a slide that is not just in the middle of my keynote presentation, or if I design it in a square mode, then that would work a lot better. So you can see that some of them actually won't work as well. But then others I've designed specifically for this purpose to look nice in this view. So it's taking up a lot of space and you can still see me in full screen. The other things that you can do with Ecamm, which is really fun, is you can create all kinds of timers on the fly, and you can add yourself next to it as well. So if you have an activity that you're facilitating, you could do this. You can add a little fun effects like drum rolls. You can put yourself in screens like this. So if you are interested in joining that workshop, it is happening at the end of July. I'm going to again put the links in the comments. Everything that I've mentioned will be in the comments, so you can find out more about it. And hopefully you've learned a little bit about different ways you can share your screen. You can create better presentations in Zoom. All right, I'm going to say goodbye to you here, and let's make sure you are subscribed and talk to you soon. There's some more Ecamm tutorials that I created that I'll also put up here. All right, have a good one.